Hello and welcome to the Beardicus Show. My name is Beardicus, and today I will be talking about Nintendo's E3 presentation. Now, this is going to be a little bit different than my usual shows, in that there's no script. I have some notes that I will be referring to, but it's not going to be as... Hello and welcome to the Beardicus Show. My name is Beardicus, and today I will be talking about Nintendo's E3 presentation. Now, this is going to be a little bit different than my usual style of episodes because there's no script. I am going to be doing this mostly from notes that I've taken. And, but it's going to be a bit less structured than normal because, no script. And I'm not, super great at remembering words. Anyway, let's just, I think I've made enough of a fool of myself. Let's just get into the presentation. So, Nintendo started out, this presentation a little bit different than normal. Normally they have somebody come out and be like, hello and welcome to the Direct, but this time no, they went straight into one of the games, and this was a unique game. I've never seen anything about it before, but it was called Daemon Ex Machina or something like that. I don't know if it's Demon Ex Machina. I don't know how to say that first word. I think it's just a fancy way of writing out demon. So I think it's Demon Ex Machina. Anyway, there are robots. And that's about it. It's not Transformers. But, I learned that. Okay, and that's about it for them. So after that, again... they go straight from the last game into this next one, and this one is a trailer for Xenoblade Chronicles 2 DLC. I'm pretty sure we already knew about this. I don't know anything about Xenoblade Chronicles 1, 2, X... There's no X2, right? Yeah, I don't know anything about the Xenoblade Chronicles series, as evidenced by the fact that I don't know whether there's an X2 or not. But I did know that the DLC was coming, or at least I had heard about the DLC, so I assume anybody who is excited for this, which I'm sure there are a lot of people. From what I know, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is a very popular game. I just never got around to playing it. But I assume that if I know about the DLC, anybody who's excited for this game also knows about the DLC. But, so, and, I mean, I'm sure it's great if you're excited about it, but personally I'm not. So then after this announcement was when Reggie finally came out, and then he introduced Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. We already knew about this, though. I mean... They announced this, I don't remember when. It was like a week or two ago, maybe less, maybe more. They'd already announced this. They'd already announced this game, and I think it's really, really good that they did, because since this is the only Pokemon announcement in this trailer, in this presentation, if I were a Pokemon fan, and I didn't know that there was a main Pokemon game that scheduled to come out next year, if I didn't already know that, and this was the first we had heard of any upcoming Pokemon games, I would have been at least a little upset that we were basically just getting a glorified Pokemon Go. That being said, they did show off one new thing where the Pokeballs... Not the Pokeballs, they already showed that off. But they showed off that if you buy one of the Pokeballs, you're going to get a Mew for the game, which is kind of cool, but at the same time it also kind of cheapens the idea of Mew being a legendary Pokemon. But I don't know. I never liked that about Pokemon, that like the legendary Pokemon you had to get like outside of the game to get them. I guess it makes sense because again, they're legendary Pokemon, but I don't know. I always prefer I would have preferred it if you had to like earn Mew in game. But I don't know, that's just me. I do think it's really cool that Mew is coming to the game. So, whatever. So, after that, they announced their first new game. That's not true. Demon X Machina was new. Their first new, Mario Party. So, this, I predicted. I'd say I got it pretty good. Mario Party Whoop-de-Doodle-Doo, or whatever it was called. Super Mario Party. It looks like they got rid of the car, which I know some people do like the car, but the general consensus was that the car was not a good mechanic. So I think it's, at least from that point of view, I think it's good that they got rid of the car. I don't know. Maybe they shouldn't have gotten rid of it entirely. I don't know. I'm not gonna say whether it was a good idea or not until I see the game. So until I can actually play the game, and I know one way or the other whether it's a good Mario Party, I'm not going to say whether it was smart to get rid of the car. Because just because it's going back to the coins and stars mechanics of the original Mario Parties doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be good. Okay, so I think we need to keep that in mind. Oh, they did show off a couple of interesting things about it, though. There was one part where two people took their Switches and they, like, connected them, and then like they wiped their finger across the screens, and that like that connected the games so that you could go off the screen. You could go off the one Switch's screen, and then you would come onto the other one screen. And they showed this off with a minigame that was a lot like Mario Party 2's. I believe it was Shell Shocked was the minigame. So you basically you're in a Koopa Shell tank, and you're driving, and you can drive off one screen onto the other, and I don't know, it looked really cool. I hope that that's something that, okay, this is a two-part comment. First, I hope that they do that with more mini-games, so it's not just the one mini-game. But on the other hand, this is part two of my comment, I also hope that they don't do that too much, because I only have one Switch, so I can't really, make use of this feature. Other than that, they showed off a couple of characters. Goomba is going to be in the game. That was surprising. Playable in the game, I should mention. So is Bowser, which I also think is interesting, because that means that Bowser, at least that implies that Bowser isn't going to be like a major threat like he usually is, which I think is pretty interesting. I'd like to see what they do with that, if there's like a new threat, or if there's just like no bad presence on the board. I don't know. I guess that's pretty much everything for Mario Party. The only other note I have on here was that I was going to make a joke that I have a love-hate relationship with Mario Parties. I love to buy them, but then I always hate myself because they haven't been, good in a while. But, I don't know. I mean, I keep buying them, so they can't be that bad. Next is Fire Emblem. I think the title is Fire Emblem Three Houses, but it wasn't entirely clear. It was just, there was like an image of there was like appeared to be sort of like a title screen. It didn't look like a title screen, but it looked like a logo on the side of the screen, and it said Fire Emblem Three Houses. It's not entirely clear, or at least it wasn't entirely clear to me if that was the title. I think it is, but I'm not positive. Weird name aside, I'm gonna take half credit for this prediction because I knew Fire Emblem was gonna get a trailer. But I also said that they were going to save gameplay for the treehouse, which they did not do. So the two most interesting things about this trailer were, to me, there was one part where your character was kind of running around. It looked like he was running around a castle or something, which, when I saw it, I got a little worried because it kind of seems like that might mean that dungeons are coming back, which, personally, I thought the dungeons were the worst part of Shadows of Valentia. But, on the other hand, I don't want, similar to what I was saying about Mario Party, I don't want, even if dungeons are coming back, I don't want to say that that's a negative, because I have to give them a chance to fix the problems I had with dungeons, which was essentially that they were extremely repetitive and boring. If they find a way to make them more fun and interesting, then great. But, I don't know. I'll have to wait until it comes out. I don't want to judge anything until the game actually comes out. Also, I don't even know if that was a dungeon. It could have just been a guy running around a castle. Also, the other interesting thing they showed off was that during some of the battle sections, there were there was the main unit, and then a bunch of other soldiers that were also there, and it seemed like they were attacking the enemy too. So there was a bunch of archers, and they were all firing arrows at the target, or something like that. I'll probably have the clip on screen, but this got me thinking, what could this mean? Is this just background details to make it seem more like an actual battle is going on? Or could this maybe be a special skill that certain characters have, where maybe some of your characters will be generals in your army or something, and they can call in reinforcements to attack with them in battle. If I'm right and that happens, that could be really cool. If I'm wrong, I mean, I don't know. I'm sure it'll still be cool. You know, extra details are always cool. Then after Fire Emblem was Fortnite. Also, I'm gonna just take a quick second to mention that it might seem like I'm kind of just going straight from one point to the next, and that's largely because because Nintendo was kind of doing that too. All of these games so far, except maybe Mario Party, strangely, and Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, pretty much everything just got a quick trailer, and then that was it. And another game that happened to was Fortnite. So Fortnite has been officially announced and released. I think it was ready an hour after the presentation. No, an hour after the presentation started. So 15 minutes after the presentation. So you can now play Fortnite on the Switch. I believe it's free. But I mean, you'll probably know if you go to download it, you'll probably know whether or not you have to pay money for it. But I'm pretty sure it's free. And I think you can play cross-platform except for PS4. But again, I'm not sure. You're gonna want, if that matters to you, you're gonna want to look into it separately. Yeah, I don't really care about this though. I don't have any strong opinions because we already knew about Fortnite. This had been leaked a couple weeks ago, or at least a couple of days ago. And even the fact that it was going to be available on the day of the presentation was leaked. So there really weren't any surprises there. And then this led into the indie game sizzle reel that Nintendo always puts into their Nintendo Directs and E3, where it just shows a whole bunch of indie games. They pop up for a second and then they disappear. So it's kind of hard to really tell what any of them are. Sorry about that sound, but I have a different paper with my notes on the indie games. There were 4 indie games that really stood out to me. 3 of them stood out because Nintendo focused on them for a little bit. The first one was Overcooked 2, the sequel to I kicked the doesn't matter. Overcooked 2 is the sequel to Overcooked 1. Well, it was just called Overcooked. And honestly, it looks like more of the same. I never played Overcooked, but it always looked like a lot of fun. I just never had anyone to play with. So, Overcooked 2 has online play, which maybe I will play it maybe I will play it online, but I don't know yet. Haven't decided. After that was Killer Queen Black or Block, something like that. It seemed to be one of those 2D platformer multiplayer battle type games, like Duck Game, I think was what that other game was called. Duck Game is completely unrelated to this E3. I'm just saying that's the kind of game that this one looks like. I don't know anything about Killer Queen, but apparently it's a really, really good arcade game that a very good but rare arcade game. So it was very hard for people to play it, but apparently it was really good. So I guess the fact that it's coming to consoles, or at least Nintendo, or at least to Switch, apparently that's a really good thing. So, cool. And then the other game that they really focused on was Hollow Knight, which seems to be another platformer type game. Not a straight platformer though. I think it's more of a Metroidvania, but I'm not positive. I don't know anything about the game. Apparently, we've known about it for a while, but I personally did not. And it's already out. So, it's already out, and it's already been out for a while, and it also came out on the Switch already. I think it came out on the Switch by the time the presentation started, but I'm not positive. All I know is that I'm pretty sure that it's available now on the Switch. I don't know, it looks cool. I'll probably look into it. It seems like you're playing as a bug and you're doing stuff. I don't know, I couldn't really gather a whole lot from the trailer. It was just like you jumping around and dashing a lot, but I don't know, it looks fun. I like platformers. And those were the only indie games that Nintendo really focused on. After this was the rapid fire, the lightning round, if you will, where they just one game shows up and then it goes away, and then another one, and then another one, and another one. And it's kind of hard to really see anything. If you don't already know about the game, you're not going to learn anything from this part. But that's okay, because we do already know about most of these games. Most of them we have already learned from previous Nintendo Directs or from previous E3 presentations. I wish that I had written down the name of that game. I told myself I was going to write it down before I started recording. It was Starfleet. I don't remember. It's not Starfleet. That's from Star Trek or something. Okay, it's the one from, I want to say Ubisoft, where Star Fox shows up. Anyway, that game was in there. Mario and Rabbids had a trailer. But the only game that really stood out to me was called Ninjala, which, as far as I know, we have never seen nor heard of before. And, I don't know, it looks interesting, so I'm gonna keep my eye out for it. The rest of the games were, I don't know, just nothing new. You know, Minecraft, Minecraft, Dark Souls, stuff like that. Okay. So that's it for that. Ooh, Octopath Traveler. Okay, again, they didn't show much for Octopath Traveler. I mean, we already know a lot about it. It's coming out next month, July 13th, I think. Should have written that down too. Yeah, they didn't show us. I don't even think they showed us any more gameplay. But we did learn that there's a new demo. I'm not positive if it's already out. I think, again, I should have written this down, but I think the demo comes out on Thursday or Friday, which, judging from how long it usually takes me to edit videos, by the time this video is up, the demo should already be out. But anyway, there's a new demo coming out, and you're going to be able to transfer your save data from the demos to the final game. So that's cool. And then we got Super Smash Brothers, which, awesome. But here was the moment where I was a little confused, because it was like, wow, Super Smash Brothers already? We're only 15 minutes into the video. What are they gonna do for the other 30 minutes? The answer was Super Smash Brothers. Also, edit the joke so I say 20 minutes. 20 minutes makes more sense. What are they gonna do for the other
20 minutes?
So anyway, after the last 20 minutes, the entire remainder of the video. So it's a 45-minute direct. We're 15 minutes in. Super Smash Bros. Starts here. The next 30 minutes are all Super Smash Bros. To the point where I couldn't even fit Smash Bros. On this page. So I had to get a whole nother page just for that. I guess I could have written it on the back of that paper. Huh. Anyway, so they started with they started with like this character introduction section where it started listing off all of the characters, every character from Smash 4. Actually, let me rephrase this. It started off by showing off the characters that we already know are in the game, like Mario, Link, Donkey Kong, all the characters that there was no doubt they would be back. And then something interesting, rather somebody interesting showed up. Because it turns out that Solid Snake is coming back. Scratch that. Everybody is coming back. And yes, that includes Pichu. Interesting to note, Snake seems to play largely the same as he did in Brawl, but it is interesting to note that they changed his symbol. So I think in Brawl he had like a fox that was curled over like that or something. I don't know. Probably, if I can find a clean image of it, I'll put it right here, maybe, or over there if I'm feeling like a jerk. You know, I'll just be holding nothing. Whatever, it doesn't matter. I'll put it in both. I'll just cover the screen in Snake's symbol. Anyway, so they replaced the symbol with an exclamation mark, which, yeah, I mean, that, when I think of Solid Snake, you know, I think of that exclamation mark with the noise. I don't think that's what it sounds like. Just play the sound. I don't know. Whatever. Let's see. Yeah, Pichu's coming back. Okay. And then they said that even though there are like 60 plus characters that are already confirmed, because again, any character that has ever been in a Smash Brothers game is coming back. So we've already got like 63 confirmed characters. Or 62 or 63 confirmed characters. Should have written that down too. But even so, there is a really, really small starting roster. Apparently, the starting roster is going to be the original 8 characters. So, not the original 12, the original 8 non-secret characters. Which means that there are a lot of unlockable characters in this game, which has me super excited. Because one of my least favorite parts of Smash 4 was that there were only like 7 unlockable characters. I know that the 3DS version had a few more unlockable characters than the Wii U version, but even so, the 3DS version only had like 10 or 11, which I personally thought was really disappointing. So the fact that there are going to be like 50 plus secret characters, I am so psyched for that. I only hope that it's not like where it's actually challenging to unlock people. It's not just like play 3 versus matches and you'll unlock this guy, and then 5 and you'll unlock that guy, and by the time you play 20 versus matches you've unlocked everyone. That would be crazy, because I just said there are 50 plus. So you'd be unlocking like 3 different characters at a time. Admittedly, that would be kind of funny. But anyway, I kind of hope they do it like Melee and Brawl did, where you can unlock them by playing a couple of dozen versus matches will unlock one character, and then a couple dozen more will unlock the next. Or you can do it the hard way. You can like beat classic mode on hard with this character without losing 3 lives, stuff like that. That's what I'm hoping for, but we'll just have to wait and see. So after they talked about the roster for a bit, they did switch over to, as I predicted, talking about what makes this game different. I'm going to start with the new appearances. So a lot of, or at least several characters have brand new appearances. The most obvious ones are Link, Zelda, and Ganondorf, all from The Legend of Zelda. Link is now in his Breath of the Wild form. This isn't really news. That form was teased in the Inkling trailer. But Zelda also got a new appearance to match. Well, not to match. She's not the Breath of the Wild Zelda, and the reason that they gave for not using Breath of the Wild Zelda is that in Breath of the Wild, Zelda was more studious, so she wasn't really a fighter, so they picked Zelda from A Link Between Worlds, where she was a painting the entire game. More of a fighter. Jokes aside, I'm actually glad they're doing this. I think it's cool that all of the main Zelda characters kind of represent different Zelda games. Link from Breath of the Wild. Zelda is the one that I always forget. I just said the name. Link Between Worlds. Ganondorf and Toon Link are Ocarina of Time. Not Toon Link. Toon Link is Wind Waker. Ganondorf and Young Link, I haven't mentioned him, but Young Link is coming back too. Ganondorf and Young Link are Ocarina of Time. Or I guess, you know what, I'm going to say this now. I really want Young Link's Final Smash to be pulling the moon from Majora's Mask down into the earth. And it explodes. So that way Young Link will have a really cool Final Smash. And he can represent Majora's Mask. So now all of the Zelda characters represent different games. So that'd be pretty cool. Also, on that note, there are now 3 different Links in this game. Link, Young Link, and Toon Link. And when they first showed that, I was a little apprehensive. It's kind of like, okay, this is getting a little ridiculous. But now that I think about it, I really like it. And I want them to double down. I want one more Link. Come on, Nintendo, squeeze out one more Link. Let's get 4 Links so that I can do a versus match with all different Links. And then you can have an event mode that's like a coin battle, and it's like a recreation of 4 swords with the 4 different Links. I mean, I guess now that I say that, I'm actually thinking that they've already done that, probably. In Brawl or Smash 4, I'm sure that they already did that. It was just 4 Toon Links, I think. But, whatever. You know what? You use my idea anyway. So as I mentioned, Ganondorf also has a new appearance. Or rather, a new old appearance. Because he's now modeled after Ocarina of Time. But, you know those jokes that people made where, like, in Brawl, he has that one taunt where he pulls out the sword, and they're just like, why aren't you using the sword? Now he does. It seems like all of his smash attacks have him hitting people with swords, which is pretty cool. And then the last character I want to talk about for different appearances is Mr. Game & Watch. Mr. Game & Watch has had a complete appearance, has had a complete makeover, basically. So now, whenever he attacks, his appearance changes to match the attack. So, for example, when he does his down smash, the vermin attack, his face changes to look like the kid, or the character from the Vermin game, the Vermin Game & Watch, which I guess that's kind of cool, but personally, I liked Game & Watch's appearance more in Brawl. Like, they changed his appearance in Smash 4, and I didn't like it. Now they're changing it more, and I like it even less. I never said the name of the game. The name of the game is Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, by the way. But anyway, so they've changed Mr. Game & Watch's appearance, and I don't like that. Speaking of things that are changing, that are bad because they're different, Ike, I believe Ike has a new voice. And I think it's the voice from Fire Emblem Heroes. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, disregard this entirely because I have no idea what I'm talking about. But if they did, I don't like it as much. It could just be my imagination. I'll have to play Smash 4 before I can really say one way or the other. But it seems like his voice is different, and I don't like it as much as the older voice. But again, I could be wrong. Could just be my imagination. But one character that definitely does have a new voice, and that makes it bad, is Marth. Marth speaks English now, and that is no good. I don't have anything else to say about it. I guess I just hope that you can toggle it back to Japanese without having to change the language of the entire game to Japanese. But I don't know. We'll find out, I'm sure. Okay, and then another change. There are a couple more changes I want to mention. Movesets have changed. Link has Breath of the Wild inspired attacks. At the very least, his bow seems to fire 2 arrows now. And his bombs are remote detonated like Snake's his down B. Snake's down special has he puts the bomb down and then you do it again and he blows it up. Link's bombs now work like that too. But more importantly, Palutena has a new moveset. Or at least she has a set moveset. Whereas in Smash 4, she was a unique character because all 9 of her custom moves were just completely different moves. Now, her specials are set, so they're specific attacks like every other character has, and this is a good thing because Palutena was not so good. Her default specials in the original game were not so good. Now, whether this means that custom moves are not coming back at all, who can say? They probably are, but maybe not. I hope they don't, because I, for one, don't want to have to collect 5,000 custom moves when they're randomly, like, whenever you collect one and it's randomly generated what it is. I don't, oh no, those were always new whenever you got one of those. But I remember how it works. So you get a custom move, you get a custom item, and then it's either like a badge or whatever, or it's a custom move. If it's a custom move, it's always new. Whatever, it doesn't matter. I don't want to have to collect them all again. If custom moves are in this game, I hope that they're all unlocked by default. The next change is that, I lost my place. Next change is that there is a new HUD for certain characters. So, like in Smash 4, Little Mac had like that bar over his damage meter that showed you how close you were to the KO punch. In this game, there is now going to be a bar for Robin that will show, whenever you use an attack, it'll show how close that attack is to running out. Villager has a new icon for whenever he grabs something and puts it in his pocket. I think that's really useful because I always forgot what I was holding when I was playing as him. And I believe that after a while, the item disappears. So this will make it much easier to keep track of that. And I just wanted to point out Rob. It's not really a new HUD icon, but Rob's body now displays how much fuel he has for his up B, which I think is pretty cool. And also, a pretty big change. This isn't. This is kind of a different kind of change, but the final smashes seem to have received a huge overhaul. So they're much faster and much flashier now. A lot of them seem to be cutscenes, like Captain Falcon's final smash, where he hits you with the blue falcon and then it goes to that cutscene where he runs you over. A lot of them seem to be like that now, where when as soon as you activate it, you either hit or miss. If you hit, there's a cutscene like King Dedede sends you to the cage match from Return of the King. In Kirby Superstar Ultra Revenge of the King, that's what it was. The cage match from the final boss of Revenge of the King. So this is kind of I have mixed feelings on this. On the one hand, I do like that the final smashes seem to be much cooler, but on the other hand, I also think that this kind of makes them all feel kind of samey on a mechanical level. They're not all the same. Giga Bowser is, well, I'll get to that in a second. But they're not all samey. Mario's is still the same as it used to be, so they're not all new, and they're not all cutscenes. So they're not all the same, but they're all pretty samey, if that makes any sense. For example, they showed off Giga Mac and Donkey Kong's new Final Smash and Little Mac's new Final Smash, and they're basically the exact same thing. Also, I heard my computer make a noise. I gotta make sure I'm still recording. Okay, I am. I hope you enjoyed that close-up of my crotch. So also, just really quickly, I just want to make a note. In addition to new Final Smashes, there's a new Smash Ball item that's a fake Smash Ball. And if you break it, it explodes and sends you flying away. And I think that's pretty cool. And you could use this to your advantage if your opponent is near it and you break it with a projectile or something. You could probably ruin their day. And then one final note on Final Smashes. The new Giga Bowser Final Smash is freaking awesome, but it just makes me sad that he's not a boss. Because he's like floating in the background and then he punches the screen and it's a one-hit kill. It's awesome. But I really just wish he was a boss in story mode now. But I don't think that's gonna happen. I've still got so much more to talk about. I'm only halfway done. Halfway done with Super Smash Brothers. So that was the main section on how this game is different. But now I think it's time to talk about. Hold on. Now I think it's time to talk about how it's not different. Because like I said in the prediction video, there are a lot of returning stages. I think I said that anyway. Whatever. Yeah, don't bother going back and checking. I'm not going to, so just assume that I said that. So, the one stage that really stood out to me is Magican. They didn't specify that it's coming back, but you can see it. It's in the video. And I'm really excited. I love the Earthbound series. And Magican was a really cool stage that I always wanted to play in HD. And now I'll be able to. So that's cool. The other stages I want to talk about are Final Destination and Battlefield. At least the versions that they showed here, they were completely identical. Well, except the usual differences. The Battlefield has the 3 extra platforms, but other than that, aesthetically, they were completely identical, which tells me one of two things. Either that's how they're going to look in the final game, which seems kind of silly, because then you could just play the Omega version of Battlefield and it would be Final Destination. Or, I should have mentioned this first, but there's also a Battlefield version of every stage. So, if the Final Destination and Battlefield stages truly are aesthetically identical, that means that the Omega form of Battlefield is exactly the same as Final Destination, and the Battlefield version of Final Destination is exactly the same as Battlefield. I also, on a related note, I hope that they're gonna change the name of Battlefield mode, because I think it should also have a Greek letter, maybe Sigma mode, or Gamma. Gamma's a good letter. I like Gamma. Delta. Even Alpha. Alpha and Omega. There you go. So anyway, basically what I was saying about Final Destination Battlefield, I just hope that the other option, I think I said there were 2 options and then I trailed off. The second option is that they don't want to show us Final Destination yet, or maybe it's not done, maybe it's not quite ready to show off yet. But I do hope that they do change Final Destination so that its appearance is befitting of a final battle. And then this next note here just says, "Dat slow-mo though, bro." I don't think I can really change, I don't think I can really add anything to that, so I'll just say, "Dat slow-mo though, bro!" That was probably really loud. RIP headphone users. After that, and then the last mechanic I want to talk about is that they've added this feature that I call the Get Him mechanic. I think it's only in timed matches, but after a little while, or occasionally, the character in first will just kind of glow for a second, which is your indication to get him! Hence the name, the Get Him mechanic. And then finally, I just want to talk about the characters. So apparently I said that, I was only halfway done with Super Smash Bros., but apparently the second half I didn't have nearly as much to talk about. I just yelled a couple of times, that's all. So finally I just want to talk about the new characters. Apparently clones have a new name. Now they're called Echo Fighters. Personally, I like clone more. I'm probably just gonna keep saying that, but the official term is Echo Fighter now. And they've announced a new one, the oft requested Princess Daisy. Now an echo of, you could probably figure this out yourself, but she is an Echo Fighter of Princess Peach. And, you know, that's cool. You know, Daisy is, like I said, a lot of people wanted Daisy, so I'm sure a lot of people are happy about that. On the other hand, I can think of one other Mario character that I think is generally requested more than Daisy, and that is Waluigi, who has been confirmed to be an assist trophy, so rip the dream. That being said, I don't care. On a related note, Bomberman was also a character I think a lot of people wanted in the game, but he is also an assist trophy, so rip that dream too. And finally, Nintendo finally caved, or Sakurai caved, and we got our big surprise trailer, our big cinematic trailer, and it was for, emphasis on big cinematic trailer, because it was for Ridley. Personally, I'm not sure how I feel about what I've seen of Ridley's playstyle. I mean, he seems like fun. He seems brutal. Gee, like, he's got this one attack where, like, he jabs you with his tail and you just die. I don't think you actually die, but, it certainly doesn't look pleasant. But on the other hand, I don't know, something just seems off about Ridley. He just seems too small, you know? I don't know. I think Ridley was too big to be in Smash Brothers, personally. Yeah, and that's everything, I think. Yeah, I'm sure it's everything. So, there you go. That's my thoughts. Those are my thoughts on Nintendo's E3 conference. Ultimately, they didn't talk about a whole lot of games. I don't even know if they announced any game. They did. They did announce Demon X Machina, and they announced a couple of indies, and of course, the showstopper, Super Mario Party. but they didn't really announce any big games. So I've seen that a lot of people were disappointed about that, but personally I wasn't. I was perfectly content with this. Honestly though, I had a feeling they weren't going to announce anything new. So I had very low expectations going in. So most of the conference kind of met those expectations, although Smash, I was pleasantly surprised by how good Smash looks. I didn't think it was going to look bad or anything. I just mean, I didn't think that they were going to show off this much of it. I didn't expect it to... I definitely didn't expect every character to come back. I think that's really cool. And just the game itself just looks good, but you know, that's Super Smash Brothers for you. And that's about it. I personally wasn't disappointed, but I can understand why some other people would be. Out of all the predictions in my prediction video, I fully expected Mario Party and Animal Crossing, and I got one of those right. And I guess that's about it. So all that's left to say now is that, I guess I should get started on that predictions video, because, you know, I gotta travel back in time a month and I'll start doing it. Although, now that I think about it, there wasn't a whole lot shown, so I'm probably just gonna make up a bunch of stuff. So if you saw that predictions video, you know how, like, basically none of it was accurate. Yeah, I'm just gonna make up a bunch of stuff, because otherwise it'd be like a 5-minute video and there'd be no point in seeing it. So, while I go and do that, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm planning to start streaming on Twitch more often, but at the same time, I have looked at my video schedule for the upcoming months, and I'm also going to be pretty busy doing that, so who knows. I'm going to stream whenever I can. Thanks for watching. I hope you tune in next time, and I'm going to go get started on that predictions video, so goodbye. What the? Why is this? Oh, right, the video. Past me could have at least turned the camera on.